Coming to you from Annapolis, Maryland, home of the U.S. Naval Academy, the sailing capital of the world, home of the world's largest crab feast, and 4 signers of the Declaration of Independence. This is the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief, a daily roundup of local news that you can use, including local sports, local events, local opinion, and local weather from DMV Weather. Now here's your host, publisher of Eye on Annapolis, John Frenaye.
Good morning. It is Friday, July 27th, 2018. This is John Frenaye, and this is your Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief. Oh, JHACA, what are we going to do with you? The Annapolis Police Department is investigating an apparent fraud scheme involving fake checks drawn on a bank account with the Housing Authority for the City of Annapolis. 3 checks were drawn against the account, totaling $1,600, and the CFO, Eileen Neely, said that they caught it during a daily inspection of their bank account. She said that employees looked at online copies of the cash checks and noticed that the checks had an incorrect account number. Police have said that the 3 checks were made out to 2 different people who were not affiliated with the authority as far as they know. Now, if the checks have an incorrect account number, it should be somebody else's check. That should be an easy bank correction. So we'll wait to see what happens here because JHACA really just does not have a good track record with dealing with finances. The number of overdose deaths in Maryland has continued its deadly climb, reaching an all-time high last year, according to a report just released from the Maryland Department of Health. Fatal overdoses ticked up 9% in 2017 to 2,282. Fatal opioid overdoses accounted for nearly 90% of those deaths, with fentanyl remaining the biggest killer. Fatal fentanyl overdoses increased by 42% last year, rising from 1,119 in 2016 to 1,597. Cocaine-related deaths are also on the rise, and some other interesting tidbits that came from that report is that deadly overdoses are claiming more young lives. Between 2011 and 2016, overdose deaths claimed the most people in age 45 to 54, and last year, for the first time ever, there were more fatal overdoses among people aged 25 to 34. There were a few counties that actually saw decreases in overdose deaths, including Charles and Frederick County. However, Baltimore, Anne Arundel, PG, and Montgomery counties continued to see increases. There were 214 fatal overdoses in Anne Arundel County. Ellicott City is a little bit gun-shy. After days of heavy rain last night, the downtown area was briefly evacuated as people were told to head to higher ground, and a local business owner, Kay Robbins, said that everybody kind of has PTSD. When it starts to rain, you don't know if it's going to rain just a little bit, if it's going to rain normal, or if it's going to be another one of our 1,000-year in 20-month floods. As I said on Wednesday night, officials were concerned that the creeks would overflow their banks. However, they did stay within the confines of their banks. Robbins said she witnessed the stress reaction to that. She was out dining on Wednesday night, and just as it started to rain, the restaurant cleared out instantly. She said, "It is just so sad. How is any business supposed to stay in business when every time it rains, people just scatter?" And Kay Robbins has an outstanding point there. More details are finally emerging for Annapolis Rising, which is the benefit concert for the Capital Gazette families, as well as first responders and freedom of the press. I do recommend that you check out eyeonannapolis.net for the full lineup, but just to give you some idea of where things will fall, the gates will open at 11 a.m. The Z Band will play until noon, where Paul Reed Smith will perform the national anthem, along with a presentation to the families of the shooting victims. That followed up by the Western Star Band, the Great Heights Band. At 2 p.m., Elizabeth Boomiller from the New York Times, Tom LoBianco, formerly of CNN and AP, and Lucy Dalgish, the Dean of the Merrill School of Journalism at the University of Maryland, will speak. Following that, Art Sherrod will perform. At about 3 p.m., Carl Snowden will be speaking. 3:20, Scribe will be performing. At 4 o'clock, Marty Barron from the Washington Post and Oliver Knox, who's a White House Correspondents Association. At 4:20, it's Higher Hands. 5 o'clock, Gary Jobson. 5:20, Dublin 5. At 6 p.m., Annapolis Mayor Buckley will host a ceremony to honor the first responders. Following that, we've got the Clones of Funk at 7 p.m. Rick Hutzel, the editor of the Capitol, as well as other members of the Capitol Gazette staff, will be on hand to say a few words. That's followed up at 7:30 by Less Than Jake. Jordan Klepper from Comedy Central will come on at 8:15. And finally, Good Charlotte at 8:30. The gates do close at 10 p.m. There will be food and drink available inside the festival. Tickets are $25 a piece. You can get them at ramsheadonstage.com. They're $30 at the gate. Kids under 10 are free with a paying adult. Don't bring in any coolers. Don't bring in any chairs, backpacks, or outside beverages. You can park over at the Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. There is a free shuttle that will transport people from the Navy Stadium, which will cost you $10, to the event. The city has said that they anticipate to sell all 3,000 tickets. Sponsors are helping to offset costs associated with staging, AV, security, and more, so that nearly all proceeds from tickets can be donated to the Capitol Gazette Families Fund. And if my math is right, $25 times 3,000, that looks like a $75,000 donation to the fund, which would be absolutely fantastic. That is about it for the top news today. Please make sure you're checking out eyeonannapolis.net throughout the day, because we do update it throughout the day. If you enjoy this podcast, please make a recommendation to your friends and colleagues for it. And if you are on a podcatcher or wherever you get it, give us a rating. Much appreciated. It is Friday, so you want to hang tight on this podcast, because we've got our picks for the weekend coming right up. Aside from that, hang tight. I've got George Young with DMV Weather coming right up after these words from Kegs and Corks.
Don't miss the best event of the summer. Get your tickets now for the 7th Annual Cakes and Corks Festival at the Anne Arundel County Fairgrounds, Saturday, August 18th from 1 to 7 p.m. Tickets benefit the Special Olympics of Maryland and include a souvenir glass, unlimited wine and beer samples, plus live music including headliner Kristen and the Noise. Sample over 80 Maryland wines, 40 craft beers, plus vendors like wine cream, wine slushies, and desserts made with craft beer. Buy your ticket today at cakesandcorksfest.com for noon entry, cakesandcorksfest.com.
This is Maryland. The weather can be nearly unpredictable. We've got George Young from DMV Weather in Annapolis to sort it all out.
Everyone, this is George with DMV Weather, and this is your Eye on Annapolis forecast for Friday, July 27th. Yesterday was a nice step away from the constant barrage of showers and storms we had seen for the previous 5 days, but today will likely be a step back in the wrong direction as temps warm up even further into the 87 to 94 degree range, and PM storms, some possibly severe, move through the region in the afternoon and evening hours. So stay tuned for updates throughout the day as those storms develop, as more flooding rains, damaging winds, hail, lightning, and an elevated risk for falling trees could come into play for Annapolis and all of Anne Arundel County. As for the weekend, Saturday looks very nice with temps in the mid-80s, though a very stray or scattered shower or storm can't be ruled out. But it's a great forecast on the whole for a great event in Annapolis with the Annapolis Rising Benefit Concert. So definitely get your tickets for the show headlined by Good Charlotte and get out to support the local community. Beyond that, Sunday looks good too with temps again in the mid-80s, but also with minimal, although slightly higher and valid, chances for a shower or storm on Sunday. And looking ahead, more rain is unfortunately expected throughout much of next week as we close out what is already the wettest July ever on record at BWI Airport, and quite possibly could become the all-time wettest month on record for that location. Okay, that's it for today. Make it a great weekend wherever you go and whatever you do, and be sure to follow DMV Weather anywhere, anytime at dmvweather.com or on social media via Twitter or Facebook, or especially on our free app that you can download from the Apple App Store or Google Play Store on all of your devices by searching for DC MDVA Weather, so you can always stay weather informed. But remember, whatever the weather outside, have fun and be safe.
September 29th, the inaugural Twist and Stout Festival at Quiet Waters Park along the shores of the South River. Twist and Stout, a Maryland wine, craft beer, music, food, and arts festival, presented by the Anne Arundel County Department of Recreation and Parks, along with the Maryland Wineries Association. Sample dozens of craft beers and Maryland wines, dance the afternoon away to the sounds of Saved by Zero and the Groove Spot Band. Watch the plein air painters and shop dozens of artisans, crafters, and food trucks. Tickets are on sale now at twistandstout.org. TWISTANDSTOUT.org. September 29th, Twist and Stout at Quiet Waters Park, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tickets at twistandstout.org. Need to make plans for the weekend? We got you covered. Here are our top picks. Be sure to visit eyeonannapolis.net to sign up for the events newsletter with a listing of all the upcoming area events.
Thank God it's
Boy, there is a lot going on this weekend, as there is, it seems, every weekend in the summer. So let's get right into it. Tonight at Union Jack's, you've got local favorites Weird Science taking the stage. And also, it's the first day to begin redeeming your KB cash, which was from KB True Value Hardware. They were giving out dollars for what you spent for the past 6 or 8 weeks, and this weekend is when you can redeem them. Tomorrow is the big day, and it gets started very early down at City Dock. It is the first annual, well, I guess it's actually the inaugural, Annapolis Sailor Triathlon. We have been keeping an eye on the weather and the conditions in the Annapolis Harbor, and they all seem to be cooperating, so it will go off without a hitch. Gets underway at about 6:30. They expect it to be done at 9:30, and it is going to wrap up at the Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium, where they do have a after party featuring Dublin 5 that will play from 9:30 to 1 p.m. A little bit later in the morning over at Weems Whalen Field, you've got the 3rd annual Annapolis Family Day Festival. And this is a great day to take your family out. They've got inflatables, they have pony rides, they've got games. It's a lot of fun for the family. Bring a picnic, hang out at Weems Whalen Field, a good place to be. It gets underway at 10 o'clock and goes all the way until 7 p.m. I believe you will have some visits by fire trucks and ambulances and police cars, as well as some of the Annapolis Police Department canines as well. The big event, of course, is Annapolis Rising. The gates open at 11 a.m. for that. The show gets underway at 12 and goes till 10 p.m. at night. I do recommend that you go to eyeonannapolis.net. We do have a detailed listing of all of the acts and when they should be coming on stage, and that's all approximate, of course. Tickets are available at ramsheadonstage.com. They're $25 in advance, and if there are any left, they will be $30 at the gate. This next event has me really conflicted because I want to be at Annapolis Rising and I also want to be at this event. So I think I'm going to go to both of them. Down at the Dock Bar at Pirates Cove, it is a benefit for Ray Weaver, who I just did a podcast with on the Maryland Crabs yesterday discussing mental illness. His daughter is suffering pretty severely from mental illness, and it has a lot of expenses that go with it. And there is a fundraiser that the folks down at Pirates Cove, which also own Galway Bay, Killarney House, and Brian Brew, are putting on to help Ray. Now, Ray has been a singer and a guitar player in their establishments for years and years and years, a great friend to the music community. If you can get down to Galesville, I do recommend that. That goes from 2 p.m. till 6 p.m. And even more important, just learn a little bit about mental illness. Head on over to the MarylandCrabs.com and check out that podcast about that. Really heartbreaking, and we really need to have the discussion going. Back up here in Annapolis, also starting at 2 p.m., it's Clicquot on the Creek. And this is a wine and champagne tasting event on the banks of Spa Creek, right at the Charles Carroll House, which is in the backyard of St. Mary's. It gets underway at 2 p.m., goes till 5 p.m. And out a little bit closer to the mall, Union Jack's is having their Midsummer Naptown Get Down. And this is a festival presented by One Coast Productions. It goes from 2 p.m. till 2 a.m. It's all ages from 2 p.m. until 9 p.m. And then it's 18 plus from 9 p.m. on. There will be 20 bands on 2 stages, and they do have a new stage out back. And again, the weather looks to be cooperating for that. Rounding out the weekend on Sunday, if you are a history buff, if you are kind of a geek, if you are fascinated by architecture, if you can walk about 3 miles, check out the Architects Tour with Watermark. I've done this before, and it is a walking tour around downtown pointing out all the idiosyncrasies and all the intricacies of the wonderful architecture that we have, from the oldest house we have here in Annapolis to renovations to modifications, led by a licensed architect. Really a very fascinating tour that we have here. I do highly recommend it. They do offer them a couple times a month, so it is somewhat rare, but this won't be your last time to do it, but I do recommend that you do. And that will wrap it up for the weekend. No matter what you're doing, please have a lot of fun, and please do it safely, and we will see you on Monday.
Thanks for listening to the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief. If you like what you heard, make sure to tell your friends and colleagues about it. And also tell them about our website, eyeonannapolis.net, where you can find much more. Be sure to check out our other weekly podcast, The Maryland Crabs. This podcast comes to you every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.